What's up, Buttercup? I'm Pam Barnes, marketing expert.
And I'm Hannah Cox, business strategist.
And this is the Go Getter Gals podcast,
where everyday gals grow together and you'll find resources to help you grow personally and professionally.
Hey gals, it's Pam Barnes here, the founder of Go Getter Gals, and you've got Miss Hannah here, who is one of the leaders, hot shots of Go Getter Gals. And we are the Go Getter Gals podcast, and I am so excited to see you guys today. What are we talking about today, Hannah?
We are talking about friendships. Navigating adult friendships as women is super challenging, especially if you are moving to a new location and you don't know anyone. You have to make friends. Or if the only friends you have in your life are the friends you had in elementary school. I think it's interesting to navigate friendships in general. Then you add the layer of being an adult on there, and then you add the layer of being a woman on there, and it's just such an interesting conversation to have. So let's talk about navigating adult friendships as women.
Yes, and first let's point out, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to keep friends as adults? And one of the big challenges is we're just busy. We're so flippin' busy. And another one I've noticed is women, we don't tend to prioritize ourselves. We tend to put other people ahead. Mm-hmm. But I miss it feeling easy. I miss it feeling, where you have groups together like school, where you have to go to school and you're sitting by this gal and she looks awesome in her new little sparkle shoes. And you're like, hey, let's be friends.
Yeah, I feel like I think that's one of the big issues with navigating relationships as an adult, is that I think part of us still think about what a friendship is based on what it used to be. When we were kids, we could just be like, I like your shoes. I like your personality. You're funny. Do you want to be friends? And that was it. It was just proximity and fun, and we can be friends. And that's not what adult friendship is like. It's a lot more complex. And so when you sit down and you're like, I had so many friends in elementary school, in high school, in college, and now I don't have anyone, it can make you feel like there's something wrong with you, when really we just have to shift our definition of friendship. Previously, elementary school, high school, even college, you were friends with the people in your proximity. And as you got older, those friendships got more complex, because then you were looking for people who had more stuff in common with you instead of just playing games and having fun. But as an adult, it's even more complex. It's not as simple as just like, hey, I like your shoes. Let's go grab dinner.
You like pizza? I like pizza. Let's go eat pizza.
Right. Or sushi is mine. You like sushi? I like sushi. Let's go.
Yes. Oh, yes. I know I love sushi. Not a lot of people do. My husband was not a sushi person, and then I kind of took him to the dark side.
Mine still won't eat sushi. Every time I drag him someplace for sushi, he just gets a hibachi plate.
Oh, I get it. It's a texture thing in some people, and then it's just the fact that it's not cooked too is another one.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the friendships that just evolve over time, right? Mm-hmm. I always felt like, I love that you pointed out that there's something wrong with you, right? Like you may feel like there's something wrong with you because you don't have friends. When out of school, I had a few friends, party friends, and then I joined the military, and the military is a lot like grade school, and it's a lot like, the proximity thing. You become instant friends. My husband's experiencing that right now, like instant friends. He's like, I've never had that before. And I'm like, yeah, because you have something very much in common. And it's honestly like you're trauma bonding in a way. Because of just all the hecticness, and you're in it together and you ain't getting out of it for at least 4 years. So, or at least that's his case. And that was my case too. But anyways, but let's talk about the friends that just evolve over time. One, there's nothing wrong with you if you haven't had friends that have evolved over time. Me, I have one solid friend that I have been friends with since I was itty bitty bitty. And she's actually a cousin of mine. And she's been like a sister, to be honest. Her name's Miss Tamara, and this gal has like lived in my home. She had a hard childhood, and I had a hard childhood, and we kind of trauma bonded together. And we've evolved over time too. And she's definitely the person when I've got family issues I've got going on, or I've got, things with my kids that I want to share with somebody that I know knows my history and how I was raised, that she would understand. So I always call her in those things. And then again, I call her when I've got business things going on. And I'm like, I just need you to tell me what I'm telling you so I can see it from a different perspective, like from your perspective, but tell me like what my challenge is because I have so much in my head. So anyways, but that long-term friendship, I think the reason why I'm really good friends with her and I will stay good friends with her is because our friendship has actually turned into a sisterhood where I'm able to be more of myself to the extreme vulnerability part, but then also there's like that history of she knows every phase of me. She knows my spoiled brat phase because I was a spoiled brat growing up. Um, well, maybe not spoiled because we were kind of poor, but my bratty phase. She knows my victim phase because my dad was a victim and he raised me to be a victim, and I had that phase in my life for a while there. She knows my phase of being a new mom. She knows my early marriage phase. Like she knows all of it, and she is able to tell me things about what I've overcome to help me see kind of more of where I'm at now. And it's so good to have that friend. And I've also got another friend of mine that has evolved over time that I've known since I was 19. And we weren't super best friends at the time, but then we've just kind of evolved. And I think one of the reasons why we have evolved is because we've literally chosen to evolve together. And I think that is really important to point out is friendship is like marriage. It really is. Like these solid friends, it is like marriage. Like there's give and take. Um, there is if there's a problem in your friendship, if there's a communication problem, that you literally sit down and you hash it out. It's like, I ain't going anywhere and you are not going anywhere. Like, we need to fix this. And it's got to be a mutual road. If they don't feel the same way, well, then you end up losing the friend. But it's such a beautiful thing when you both are on the same path. And I just want to talk about those friendships and just kind of cherish those friendships a minute because they're vitally important. And if you're not utilizing those lanes and nurturing those friendships, then this is a reminder to kind of pour some water on them and tell them how much you love them and how much you appreciate them because they're keeping you upright and afloat some days.
Oh, yeah.
When
And
you need them.
even if you're not on the same path always. So I also have a friend who is my long-term friend since like second grade. You know her, it's Cami. We have been friends our almost our whole lives. And we have also witnessed each other's struggles through childhood, through adolescence. We had a little spat in high school and then we came back together. And then when we graduated, I went one way, she went the other way. We were thousands of miles away from each other and living our own separate lives and not really in communication. We went several years without a single text message or phone call between us, and then reconnected when we both found ourselves back in our hometowns and have been inseparable ever since. And to be able to have these conversations with Cami where I'm filling her in on the blank spaces that she missed and she's filling me in on the blank spaces I missed, and it doesn't feel like a single day passed without us being in connection. And she challenges me and coddles me, and just like my husband does, like you said, it's like a marriage. She lets me get away with stuff I shouldn't get away with because she loves me, and she challenges me on things that she thinks are ridiculous, as she should. And I do that for her too. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what is said, what is done. We're still here for each other because we recognize that we're both human and we're both living this life, and our paths are still very different from each other's paths. And that doesn't change the love that we have for each other and the decision we've made to be best friends. And I think that that's really important, is that it is, you don't have to be twins with your best friend. You don't have to be doing the same things or in the same stages of life or even have the same religion or values or political stance. Because that's another thing me and Cami differ on too. We have differences in religion and differences in other things. And that doesn't matter. I still love her completely as a whole person that she is, and disagree with her on certain things that she values. And she disagrees with me, and then we say, "Okay, cool, let's go get sushi." And talk about the things we do want to talk about. So like I think that not I do want to recognize that I'm blessed, and everyone who's listening to this who has a long-term friendship like that, whether you're twins with your best friend or you're two separate people with completely different personalities who just chose to love each other and stick with each other, that's such a huge blessing that not everybody gets.
Yes. Yes. And yes, and let's sit there for a second. And then not everybody has, not everybody gets. It's not final. There is no final there. Like, go find it. go, go find it. And there's nothing wrong. Let me tell you this real quick. There is nothing wrong with looking at another woman that you absolutely want to be best friends with and say, I would like to be your best friend. I know that's heavy, but I would like to be your best friend. Like, tell me everything you got going on in your life, and I'll tell you everything I got going on. And let's, from here on out, decide to be best friends, because people can do that. My mom met her best friend when they were 32, 32 and 34. And then we found out that we're actually related, which is so cool. But they literally had that relationship. My mom, she was like, we're going to be best friends. And my Aunt Thelma was like, I don't know you. And she was like, we're going to be best friends.
And okay, that's really hard to do. So like kudos to your mom, because when you that's what you have to do to make friends, right? Like you have to set that intention of like, I want to be your friend. And you have to be okay with somebody saying, I don't want to be yours. And that's okay, because sometimes they're like your Aunt Thelma and they're like, I don't know you, get away from me. And then they grow on each other. Sometimes people just don't want to be your friend. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try again with someone else. Like, one of the biggest things I have to keep reminding myself, because I am a people pleaser and I want people to like me. I I heard this somewhere and I stick with it, and I tell other people all the time, you could be the juiciest, sweetest peach in the supermarket or on the tree, and some people just don't like peaches. It doesn't matter. They're not going to pick you. They don't like peaches. They want apples or whatever. So like, it's okay. Rejection, that fear of rejection sometimes stops us as women, as adults, as humans from doing a lot of things, including being vulnerable enough to walk up to another person and say, I really like your energy and I think we could be really good friends and I want to do that, even if they say no.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute. Making new friends as an adult. How do you make new friends as an adult?
Well, I think that's what we were just talking about too. Is like you have to be vulnerable enough to walk up to another person and say, "I like your energy. I want to be your friend." And kind of push down the feeling of that fear of being rejected. And that's easier said than done, but truly, if you can hype yourself up and be in a place where you're like, it's okay if they don't like peaches, I'm still going to like present myself to them on a silver platter in a peach cobbler or whatever and see if they want to take a bite. Like, and it's okay if they don't like me, and there's nothing wrong with me. Getting out of that fear of rejection, stop putting a label on yourself. You're not too old. Like you said, your mom met her best friend in her 30s. You're not too old to start new friendships ever. And start small. Have consistent conversations with these people. Exchange phone numbers. Be the person who sends the text first. I know that there's this thing in like the psychology world right now where protect your peace. If people aren't putting in an effort, they're not worth it. Cut them out. But that's not fair because you don't know what they're going through unless you send a text message and ask how they're doing. If they're
Yes.
just too overwhelmed to text anybody right now, don't make that into something like, oh, they don't value me. Put in that effort and be consistent. And that's how you make friends.
Yes, and some people are just more outgoing than others. And if you are the outgoing type, then you are probably going to be the one that initiates the friendship. Like it's just the way it goes. If you're the more introverted type, then surround yourself with extroverted people and you're going to get invited to places. Especially if you're an internal person, introvert, and you're like, I want friends and I want people to want me around, then go and hang out with extroverted people because you will be invited because they don't want people to be left out. Typically, they don't.
The good
And
ones,
then,
the people you want to be friends with, they're gonna
yeah,
want to include you.
yeah, exactly. You're never too old to make new friends. And as women, it can be hard to prioritize yourself. I talk about this a lot in podcasts, and I talk about this a lot in Go Getter Gals. One of the biggest challenges of getting women to a group is making them prioritize themselves to show up to a group. And then also making them prioritize enough to build the confidence enough to believe that they're worthy of a friendship of another woman, or the confidence enough to walk into a room full of women because they've been hurt by women and they don't want to get hurt again. So it's one of those, like, again, go back to the vulnerability that you said and everything, but you're never too old to make friends, and you have to put in the effort and step into the rooms and surround yourself with other women. And also hold your boundaries. If you state your boundaries, people are going to respect those boundaries or not respect them. And then you know that you already know where they are. You know where they stand, and that they don't stand with you, that you guys don't blend well. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey gals, if you love what you're hearing and you want to get more involved, because trust me, I love Go Getter Gals. I'm obsessed with it. If you love this podcast as much as we do, all you have to do is go on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and we're under Go-Getter Gals. We are going to have all of our episodes on the podcast link on our website at go-gettergals.com. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt for just a second. We look forward to continuing to help you grow. Without further ado, here's the Go Getter Gals podcast.
Well, and okay, so let's talk about green flags and like how to identify a healthy relationship or friendship. Because, if you are the kind of person who's like, no, I want to do the work, I want friends, I need a village, and you show up consistently and you're sending text messages and you're doing all this work, how do you know that you are facilitating a healthy friendship and not putting yourself in a position to be in a toxic relationship? Or, we've talked about in previous episodes, like you're lifting other people up, and how are they approaching it? When we talked about celebrating wins, who do you celebrate your wins with? You can't celebrate with everybody because some people get jealous. And so let's talk about, if you're putting in all this work to create friendships, how do you identify healthy relationships?
Is it fueling you or is it taxing you? That's really important. Are they energizing you? Are they pouring into you? Or are they taxing you, where you're always giving, you're always putting in the effort? That is important, because you've got to surround yourself with people that remind you how amazing you are. It's vitally important that you do so. And if you don't think you're amazing, then we need to have a different conversation. And you need to put that in the comments, and you need to surround yourself with people that remind you how amazing you are, because that's what friends are for. Like that, if you're a hot mess to express, because we all have those days, and you walk into their room, or you call them and you're like, I just need to cry, that they give you that space. And after you are a hot mess, they again pick you up and remind you how amazing you are.
They
That this is
celebrate
just a
you.
moment, and they celebrate you. Exactly. So green flags are really important because that tells you what you need and what you want in life.
Right.
And then you can find those friends that align with those needs and those wants.
Right. And I think that and we made a little list of green flags. So, you know, one of them was, do they make space for your growth? So, I like to think that when I show up for people, I am giving them space to grow. I'm giving them resources. I'm giving them advice. I'm letting them have a podium to speak in our friendship about the things they want to do. And are they reciprocating that? Are they giving me space to talk? Are they giving me advice? Are they, helping me navigate the challenges I need to navigate to grow personally and professionally? Another green flag would be, you don't feel drained after you talk to them. Like, your conversations energize each other. You don't feel, you see their name pop up on your phone and you're like, oh, I can't talk to her right now. If you're doing that, you need to reevaluate where you stand in that friendship, because
Right.
there's a difference between, oh, I'm so busy, I'll call her back later, and that like sigh and eye roll when you really just don't want to talk to that person specifically.
Communication feels natural, not forced. I really do believe that I believe in love at first sight. And with friendships, I believe in connection. And I honestly believe that I'm supposed to meet everybody that I meet, because this world, there's millions and millions and millions of people. And the fact that I ran into you and we connected and the conversation felt so natural, to me, I'm like, okay, that's a friendship flag right there. Like, we need to be friends. Because it's just, the likelihood of that happening is nearly impossible. It just is. Let's see. Having friends celebrate you without it being weird, that's another green flag. Again, I show up here lately. I've been showing up as a hot mess because my life has just been different. It has. And I would love to say that I'm rocking it, but I haven't been. My body went into fight or flight because I got sick, and I've been in fight or flight for months, and I didn't realize it until one of my really good friends pointed it out. And I was like, oh, okay. But the celebrating and also the critiquing, but in a positive way.
Right.
That's another one too, because we can't always see outside of us because we're such internal creatures. The ideas and the thoughts and everything, they just keep running, especially when we're not at our best. And this is important to say, because in friendship flags and green flags, boop, there's the words. We're not always at our best, and life is crazy right now. It's been crazy for years, and we're scared and we're tired. Everything's so flippin' expensive that, honestly, I believe that 98% of the population is about 50% themselves. That's really what I believe. And I'm not trying to be like negative about it, like as their best selves. Let me say it that way. We're 50% of the time at most at our best selves, just because life is flipping crazy. And we're moms and we're wives and we're we're business owners, or we're workers, 9 to 5s and badass bosses. Excuse my French, I said a bad word. But we're just taxed so much that I really do believe that, and I hate it, but at the same time, like, I'm looking at myself from a perspective, I'm not always my best self. I'm just not, even though I want to be. And if we're not at our best selves, we're not able to show up in the world as our best selves. So, in that being said, friendship flags that recognize that and help you stay to your boundaries, because you've communicated your boundaries. And if you start breaking your own boundaries, they let you know. And when you start acting out of character, they let you know. And I love that. And that's the friends that we need in this world. And we need friends that are willing to be vulnerable with us and say, girl, this sucks. And I'm sorry that you're going through this. We're going to sit in this suck for a minute, and then we're going to get out of it. We have to get out of it. Like, I'm going to pull you out of it, honey.
Right.
Kind of thing. So I know that went a little heavy, but life is heavy right now. It is.
Yeah. Well, and I think also because of the green flags that we just listed are like, if you met a woman who had all of those green flags, you just found a ride or die for life.
Oh,
And I
yes.
think it's important to note that not every friend you have has to be a ride or die friend. There is a spectrum of friendship from acquaintance to ride or die. And it's okay if you have friends who don't recognize and pull you out of those patterns when they're happening. Not because they don't care about you, but because they are on the less ride or die side because they're busy, and maybe you only connect because you read the same books and that's all you guys really talk about. And I think it's okay to have friends that are shallower friendships because they still fuel you in specific ways. You can have hobby friendships and business friendships and like ride or die friendships, and they're all valuable. So I do think it's important to don't walk away from this episode thinking that like scrutinizing your current friend list and being like, oh, none of these women they're all fake friends. Walk away just knowing that if you want more friends, these are really good green flags to look out for and to be okay with that spectrum of friendship. You know, actually, one of the reasons why I think this was such a good topic for us to talk about is because specifically as women, not only do we have the trouble of like, well, we're adults now and it's hard to find friends, but then on top of that, I think men and women are both naturally competitive, but I think the type of competitiveness that comes from being a woman can really threaten your ability to have friends. And I wanted to talk about that too, because a lot of times I don't think it's intentional to like compare yourself. There's like the social comparison of like, keeping up with the Joneses, life milestones, this person's married and this person have kids and we're the same age. I should have kids by now, or like feeling behind, or maybe you have a big head because you're a little bit ahead of the curve socially or whatever, and maybe that prevents you from having friends because you want to try to find people who are in the same stage of life as you for whatever reason you feel like that's important. I think that I want to talk about that natural competitiveness and how to keep yourself out of that mindset when you're looking to make friends. So how do you navigate that when you meet a really amazing woman who shows up at Go Getter Gals and you're like, I need this person. This person, I'll tell you, Sharonica, that is a woman who you have to have in your network. She is a woman you need to know. How do you meet a woman like Sharonica and not be like, oh, I'm not there yet? So either feel not good enough to talk to her and be vulnerable, or how do you keep yourself out of the mindset of being too snooty or too shy?
First, you got to remember that they're a woman too. When I first met Sharonica, I was like, she dresses fancy and I dress fancy. And I'm like, okay, I can connect with this.
I like your shoes. Let's be friends.
I totally did. I totally did. But then also, it was some of the things that she said. Because she came to one of the first Go Getter Gals meetings, and just some of the things that she was saying about connecting with women. She had never really connected with women. She'd always been one of the guys. And how people will tell you what they want, right? Like For her, she was like, I'm looking for women that are going to support me and not try to compete with me and all this stuff. And I had no interest in competing with anybody. And I'm like, I could do that. Check. That's a green light for me kind of situation. And I never had the feeling of being intimidated by Sharonica, but she doesn't have that energy about her. She really doesn't.
I just bring her up because I just love her so much and I
Mm-hmm.
love her energy. And I genuinely, every time I meet someone, it happened at the last Go Getter Gal Enterprise meeting, Sharonica wasn't there. And I met this woman and I was like, you have to meet Sharonica. You have to
Mm-hmm.
talk to her. She's a person you need in your contact list. And not just
Yes.
that woman specifically, but I literally tell everybody that. I'm like, oh, do you know Sharonica? Because you should.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, again, that's the good thing about having friends, because friends are going to help you find other friends. But let's talk about the intimidation part. Like, we always meet people that we're intimidated by. I've met several women. The first time I ever met Linda, one of my heroes, I've interviewed her. She helped me find me, and I was intimidated by her. She was in this real fancy house, a house I've always wanted, that I didn't feel like I could ever afford. Now I don't feel that way anymore. But before, I'm talking 2019, guys. This was a while ago. And she was just so kind, but I was very shy around her. I was afraid to say much. I caught myself people pleasing because I wanted her to like me. And I was lucky in the aspect, and I'll say lucky in the aspect, that she recognized those things and she mentored me to help me come out of those things. But I had another friend that I was intimidated by that was a lot like Linda, very nice house, very nice clothes. And it was a different scenario. Like, she treated me less. Not necessarily in the beginning, but if I got too big, it was like a slight knockdown. And it wasn't anything like super negative. It wasn't anything bad. Like, I don't think she's a bad person. She's not a bad person. But there was a dynamic. There was a friendship dynamic. And when I got to where I was doing bigger things, she was either doing bigger things or she would knock down some of my things. And here's the thing that I want you to realize is, when you are intimidated by a woman, how you present yourself to that woman, that is bringing, and same as a marriage, again, relationships, it's a relationship, okay? And it is like a marriage. You are creating the dynamic. How you present yourself to that woman is what you're saying your worth is. And you've got to think about that, because they're just a woman like you. They're living life just like you. Just because you think she's gorgeous or you think that she has it more together. And I'm thinking all the negatives, right? Because when we find a powerful woman in our world, a woman that we look up to, we tend to think these things. She's better at this. She looks better than me. She has it more together. She's more successful. She's a better mom. Like, all of these things. And we've got to remind ourselves that she's just a woman like me.
Mm-hmm.
She's no better than me. And is she better at things than I am? Yes. But I can learn from her. And remind yourself, she can also learn from me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what builds the friendships. Is if you go up to this woman and you say, hey, my name is this, and you're kind of like knocking yourself down, pushing her up, knocking yourself down, because we tend to do that when we put ourselves around people that we think are better than us. You've already created the dynamic.
Yeah. I think that's really important to highlight, is that you're setting the tone. I mean, we're talking about friendships right now, but you set the tone for life. When you walk around with this image of yourself that is less than what you want it to be, or less than what is compared to someone else around you, another business, another employee that works at the same company as you, another woman that you want to be friends with, your romantic relationships, if you're showing up with that filter over yourself, you're setting the tone for how people treat you. And I think that that's a whole nother conversation we could have about, painting, setting the tone for your life and building your self-confidence and fake it till you make it and all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
I think that's a whole nother conversation we can have, but that's a really good point to put out there, is that you are setting the energy for your life. And in the conversation of friendships, you're giving those people like a playbook on how they are allowed to treat you, because that's how you treat yourself. So
Yes. 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 Say
I
that
did
again. Say
want
that again. Say that again. Say it again.
you're giving people a playbook on how they're allowed to treat you when you show up that way. And whether you want to or not, whether it's intentional or not, and that's why it should be intentional. You need to be intentional with how you see yourself and how you portray yourself to others, because if you're not, they're still gonna get that information. It's just, if you're intentional with it, you're in control of how people will see and treat you. Now, that being said, there are people out there who are just mean, and they're just gonna be
Yes.
mean. Even if you say, I don't let people treat me that way, they're still gonna try and treat you that way. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the generally nice people who are still human and will pick up those cues that you put out, so subconsciously, and they just treat you the way that you tell them that they're allowed to treat you by your actions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think we can end it with the statement of, yes, making friends as an adult is hard. Yes, putting yourself out there and being vulnerable is hard. But, and then another one. Let's do another hard one. Losing friendships suck.
Yeah.
And it hurts. But, the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this, gals, is friendships will change your life. They will change your life. And you got to go do it.
Absolutely. Okay. If you guys are listening on YouTube, I want to encourage you to leave a comment and answer this question for us. What friendship has changed your life? We want to read the stories. We want to talk about these powerful friendships, men or women, but powerful women friendships that you've had in your life. I want these stories to be in the comments. I want other women to read about the amazing friendships that you've had, as an encouragement that it doesn't matter how old we are. It doesn't matter what stage in life we are in. There is always time to build these types of relationships and have the best friendships of your life. Hey gals, thank you for listening to the Go Getter Gal podcast. All of the information for this episode can be found in the show notes. Make sure that you go and like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube. And to find the latest episodes of the Go Getter Gal podcast, you can visit our website at go-gettergals.com. See you next time.